What's up? What's up? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Myles Hyde Pod edition. This is episode 4, guys. I want to thank y'all for just always being here at the Myles Hyde Pod. Thank you for tuning in. Wherever you're tuning in, whether you're listening to me or watching me, remember to follow me on all these platforms so you can keep up to date on when a new episode drops. So as always, here at the Myles Hyde Pod, you know, we want to entertain, we want to educate, and we want to elevate you to staying miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations you may think you have. You know what I mean? Just about to have some fun. Now I want to share my experiences, share the principles that I use in my life. And, you know, hopefully you guys can learn something from it, man. So let's get the pod started, man. I'm so happy that you guys are here. Thank you for tuning in, as always. And I'm just going to jump right in. So for today's podcast, you know, I want to talk about ideas, right? And ultimately, you know, everything starts with an idea. As simplistic or as simple as that may sound, you know, everything starts with an idea. The computer that you're watching me on, the headphones that you're listening to me on, the television you may be watching me on, the podcast platform that you may be listening to me on, all started with an idea. The bed you sleep in at night, the clothes you wear every day, the shoes you walk in every day, the vehicle you drive in every day, started with an idea. Someone said, or someone saw a problem or a hole in an already established business or industry. And they said, man, I can fill this hole. I have an idea to fill this hole. And the pursuit started. You know, when I was younger in high school, there was this game that we used to love to play. I used to love to play, at least. And it was called Truth or Dare. I know a number of you are familiar with this game. Did it a lot when we were younger. Haven't played it in a while. But this game, you know, for me, I always chose Dare. You know, there were some people that never liked to choose Dare. Never liked to choose Dare because, you know, they were anxious about what the Dare would be. And they would rather have a truth question. And for those of you who don't know, who doesn't know how to play the game, so, you know, it's a group of friends or people, whatever, and you kind of come together and you go around asking each person truth or dare. So if the person chooses dare, you have to dare them to do something. So, you know, if we were playing a game and I asked you, you know, truth or dare, and you picked dare, I would say, I dare you to, let's say it's snowing outside, right? And I would say, I dare you to strip down to your underwear and take a lap around the house outside in the cold. And if you choose not to accept the dare, there would be a penalty. And the penalty could be anything, depending on, you know, what the group decided. And then if you pick truth, you know, you would ask them a question. So the question would be like, have you ever skinny dipped, right? And you would either say yes or no to the question. Now, the idea behind the game is to tell the truth if you're selecting truth, you know, to always be truthful. And obviously the dare would be to do the dare. So for me, I always loved to do the dare. It was just like this challenge that I had within myself to be like, man, I don't care what the dare is. I'm going to do it. And I just remember always being so excited when we played this game. Because again, you know, I always looked forward to the challenges that the dares brought me, right? And I was excited about being able to accomplish those. And it was just like a personal thing for me. I never wanted to be defeated by a dare. I took it personal. Sometimes the dares got a little crazy, and I will admit that I didn't do every dare because some just was not my thing, right? But there were if I had 10 dares, I did about 9 of them. So there was probably only one that I chose not to do. But I rarely chose truth. If I chose truth, if you had a game of 10 questions or 10 turns, I'd probably choose dare all 10 times. Maybe I'd choose truth once just to kind of throw a little wrench in the system. But for me, dares were my choice, the route that I always chose to take. And I'm saying all this because, in speaking about ideas, right, and saying that everything started with an idea, the main purpose in life is, first of all, for us to discover our purpose, right? And then we figure out, okay, what is it that I'm here to do? And, purpose usually leads to us helping others or solving some type of issue or some type of problem or filling some type of gap within a business or an industry or whatever. And, more times than not, man, we have these ideas in our minds of things that we would like to see happen or things that we would like to make happen. And we allow society, right, those around us, those closest to us, those not that close to us, people that we may listen to discourage us from pursuing those ideas. And, I started off by showing you how simple ideas are, right? And, obviously ideas start in our mind, something that we think about, something that we process. And then it may be something that we transfer to a sheet of paper or to a computer screen as far as like maybe illustrating the idea. And then you set out some strategies to really accomplish and develop the ideas and hopefully bring them to reality, bring them to fruition. And for me, I had so much encouragement around me, with my parents and, a lot of my friends and a lot of my teachers who really encouraged me to challenge the status quo, and I consider myself to be that person. Like I always think outside the box. I always ask why, like, why do we have to do this? Just because we did it last year or just because it was done before, why do we have to do it the same way? Why can't we figure out some other way to do things? And I'm always thinking, in that wavelength. I always try to bring that energy into everything that I do. And with ideas, I just want to let you guys know, man, that everything starts with an idea. So that translates to every problem has an idea that can solve it. There's an idea out there that can solve every problem. And the idea could be one that you have or that you've thought about before that you haven't pursued or chased because you may think that, that's too big for me to accomplish. I'm not qualified to do that. I'm not in the position to do that. I don't have the funding. I don't have the expertise. I don't have the wherewithal. I don't have the right team around me. We talk ourselves out of chasing these ideas that we have on a regular basis. And, I just wanted to encourage everyone that can hear me or see me right now to just continue to chase or continue to think of ways that you can solve problems. Think of things that you can either produce, things that you can come up with, things that you have available to you that you can use to solve problems. And, it starts with an idea. So once you have that idea, don't allow yourself to talk yourself out of that idea. I think for me, I treat my ideas the way I treated the truth or dare game that I used to love to play, back in high school when I was much younger. It's a challenge for me. I love when I have an idea. I love trying to figure out, okay, how can I make this work? How can I convert this into something tangible that I can either produce as a tangible product, or that I can produce as a service or something that I can offer, because it's the reason you're given, or the reason we have ideas, is because, we're creative by nature, right? We, as human beings, we were created to create. There's not just one thing that we were placed here to do. There's not just one problem we were placed here to solve. It's up to us to figure out what phase of the problem that we're at, right? Because there are a number of problems, I feel, in my opinion. And if you agree with me, I think you understand why I feel this way. But, I feel there are a number of things that we were put here on this earth to solve. And, our life happens in phases, and as we mature and grow and develop as individuals, there are new problems and new issues that we come into we encounter on our journey. And, there are unique ideas that we have that allow us to solve or figure out how to make things better, or make those issues better, or fine tune, something that we're either using or we want to use, or something that we see that is being used, but we understand that we can make it a little more better, right? So everything starts with an idea. I want to be a positive voice to each of you out there that can hear me. Those of you who aspire to be professional athletes, those of you who aspire to be a businessman or woman, those of you who aspire to be an entrepreneur, those of you who aspire to be whatever it is that you think that you can be, or you feel that you've figured out what your life's purpose is, but the task at hand, or the thing that you see in the front of you, just seems so unattainable. And maybe because it's because where you currently are, your status in life, or because where you were born, you don't have the funding. Maybe you don't have the expertise, or you don't have the right team or the right personnel around you. That's no excuse not to pursue those ideas. It's no excuse for you not to pursue that dream. The key is to go out and find the missing pieces. If it's education, then go out and educate yourself. I feel like we live in an information time, a digital information time right now, where anything we want to figure out, anything that we want to learn to do, we can do it for free. We have access to tons of information, of ways of doing things at no cost. And that's just the world that we live in now. Everything is attainable to us. It's just up to us to make the decision that, okay, I want to do this. I want to pursue this idea, and I want to figure out how to strategize these different points, or these different things that I can pull together to bring this idea to pass. I remember, after my parents died, and I was having a few conversations with some friends, and just kind of reading articles, and like listening to different videos online. And man, I realized that the issue that I saw was there was just this idea again, and not all ideas are good ideas. I think it's a good place to say that. And I realized that, man, there was this idea of success, right? And there was this definition that society defined for us as success, and it had a lot to do with the things that we had, or the things that we could attain, right? So if you didn't have X amount of dollars in the bank, or if you didn't have drive a certain type of car, or live in this certain type of house, you weren't deemed successful. And in my reading, and I read a lot of books on self-help and like business, right? So business-backed books. So it'll be books on different entrepreneurs or different authors that speak about business, or just self-help, personal development types of books. And in reading those, I realized that, man, we all have a different perception of, or a different idea of what success is. And what success to you may be entirely different than to me, than what success is to me. And for me, I think that that's the way we should look at life, right? So your vantage point in the things that you see and how you understand them is different from my vantage point. It has to do with, my experience, my history, the information that I have up until this point, and how I'm able to process what it is that I'm seeing. So just because I see something a certain way and I believe that, this is what I'm seeing isn't necessarily 100% truth or 100% facts, right? Because your perception and view of certain things can be entirely different, but can be facts as well. Two things can be true. I truly believe that. So for me, I realized that success was something that was all relative, right? So I figured that, man, I saw this imperfection in our society as far as what success is defined as. And I wanted to fill that void. And that's actually where the idea of our Mel conference came about, because I said, man, I know I'm able to meet and encounter tons of people, right? And I already know tons of people who are successful in their own right? They may not be the best known person, or they may not have all the money in the world, but they've done something with themselves and in their lives that has made a difference and has made such an impact, has made so much of an impact that their success is undeniable, right? And I wanted to showcase and highlight those individuals to tell their stories in real time, right? And really explain like how I got from point A to point B, how I got from where I started to where I am now. Because what I started to realize is we all go through the same issues. We all have the same self-doubts. We all have the spawn or the dawn of an idea, the birth of an idea, and we go through those phases in our minds where we try to talk ourselves out of doing those ideas or accomplishing the things that we're thinking about, right? And it becomes almost like this repetitive thing that we go through to where we aren't really happy about where we are in life or the job that we're currently in. We have these ideas that, we want to accomplish and things that we know that if we put our minds really to it, we can be really successful at it. But, it's discouraging because of the uncertainties that are involved. And, nothing in life is promised. Nothing in life is certain. The only thing that we can do is try, right? We attempt the things that we want to accomplish, and, we hope for the best. And the key there is to really ensure that when we set out on this journey to bring our ideas to pass, we believe ourselves before someone else believes us. If you don't believe in what you're doing, if you don't believe in the things that you're saying, if you don't believe in the vision that you have, then you can't expect someone else to believe in that. And I tell people this all the time. Like when I set out to do things within our organization or, the different ideas that I have, I believe 100% in those ideas. I could care less who doubts it or who doesn't believe fully in it or who doesn't care about it, right? For me, it's something that I know if done correctly, it can make a difference, and it's something that I'm going to totally pursue. Now, is everything that I pursue, everything that I do successful all the time? No. But I don't look at success or failure in the same way that you may look at it, right? For me, if something doesn't succeed, and I'm using air quotes because, again, success is all relative, but if something doesn't work out or turn out the way that I wanted to, then to me, I've figured out a way not to do it, right? And I know that, okay, now I have to go back and see what worked, what didn't work, pull some things out, add some things in, and try it again. And that's the way that I live my life. And then there's times where, you're doing something and it doesn't turn out the way that you have to do it. And you have to tell yourself, okay, this probably wasn't a good idea. I should just, kind of stop this right here, not waste any more time on it. And those are conversations that we have to have with ourselves constantly, to ensure that the why we're doing something is always consistent. It should never be for us. It should never be for a personal gain. We should never be doing it to make a bunch of money. It should be to solve a problem, because that's the easiest way to success. You look at all of the successful companies that has gained either wealth or notoriety within the past 10 to 15 years. All of them created something that solved the problem. You look at Uber, for example. Uber it's just a car service, right? It's a taxi. It's a digital taxi on demand service, and it started, I'm sure, from someone that was tired of having to call a cab all the time, or having to wait on something or go outside to ensure that, what I mean? Like it was, they wanted to make it as simplistic as possible. So, let's create an app, get these drivers to sign up to the app, offer their cars for service within the app. And then our users, whenever they want, they call Uber, you give your location, your current location, you put where you want to go or where you want to be dropped off at. And if someone is willing to take on that ride and you pay the fare, then that's a service, that's a transaction that is being transacted on that idea, right? And there's a ton of other companies. You have Airbnbs, you have Google, you have Amazon, you have Apple, you have within the past 12 months alone, like there have been a ton of companies, organizations that has taken off simply because they were solving a much needed problem. They were bringing a much needed solution to a problem. I wanted to say that better. They were bringing a much needed solution to a problem. And I think for the greater public, or, to you guys listening to my voice, I think if you understand the principle of problem solving, you would put yourself much closer to the success you want to achieve. It's as simple as the problem that you solve for yourself. I always tell myself, man, there are over 7 billion people on this planet right now, on planet Earth. There's no way that the things that I have a problem with, no one else is having a problem with as well. And I'm pretty sure the things that I'm having a problem with, there's a very high percentage of persons that are also experiencing that problem. So in that thought alone, you can see that the problem that you solve for yourself, there's already a market out there for whatever that solution is. Because once you solve that problem for yourself, you're solving that problem for a segment of the population on this earth. For me, that alone makes me excited. That alone makes me want to pursue ideas, pursue dreams, because I know for a fact, man, if this has helped me or if this is helping me, 100% this is going to help someone else. The only thing that I have to fill in is, there's a few things you have to do. One, you have to perfect the solution, right? So you create the product or the service or whatever it is, and you do it to a point where it's easily attained and understood by your consumers, right? And I think the most important thing is getting the word out there to the consumers that this solution exists. So it has a lot to do with marketing and promotions. Getting eyes on the product or the service. But the idea or the pursuit of the idea should never be the problem. The pursuit of the idea should never be the thing that you talk yourself out of. Because truly that should be the easiest part. Now, I'm using the word easiest very relatively, right? I'm not saying easy as in it's not going to take a lot of work and it's not going to take a lot of sacrifice or it's not going to take a lot of resources. I'm saying easy in the fact that if you really believe in the idea that you have, or you really trust yourself in being able to bring this idea or this solution to pass, then you should be hard pressed to say, I'm not going to stop until I accomplish this. That's what I mean when I say it's the easiest thing to do, because you know you're going to do it until you figure it out. You're not going to get discouraged. You're not going to allow yourself to be burnt out. You know, you're always going to understand that, man, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to dedicate myself. I'm going to make myself obsessed. I think that's the key word here. You need to become obsessive. You know, I read a lot. Like I said, I read a lot of books on entrepreneurs, right? And in most books about successful entrepreneurs, there's always a point in the process where their friends, their colleagues, their family, their close loved ones, they always use the term obsessive with them. You know, they were obsessed with this idea. They were very obsessive about this thing that they wanted to accomplish. And, you know, they seemed crazy in the process, or drove me crazy in the process. You know, this is where we're talking about, you know, the individual. And to me, that's a key. If someone isn't saying or telling you, man, you're very obsessive about this thing, or like telling you, man, you need to just relax, like let it go, take a breath. I always use that as, okay, cool, I'm doing it. I'm chasing. I'm trying to fulfill this dream or this idea, because someone is seeing it as an obsession, but for me, it's a drive. I'm driven. I'm not going to allow your shortcomings to stop me from pursuing something that I know that I'm 100% sure of. If I do it correctly, it's going to be a success. You know, I just can't say it any simpler than that. If you take it back to the top of the pod, when I started off with saying that everything starts with an idea, then you know that ideas come a dime a dozen, because whatever room you're sitting in right now, wherever you are right now at this exact moment, I want you to take a look around. Take a look around at everything that your eyes can see. There's probably a million things that you can point out. Literally, there's probably a million things that you can point out in your surroundings. And I want you to know that each and every one of those things started with an idea. How many ideas do you have in 24-hour period? How many ideas do you talk yourself out of doing? Maybe it's because of time. You know, the normal excuses. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. You know, this is not my field. But there's something that you can contribute to it. But obviously we have to be smart about it. You know, I'm really dumbing it down and making it seem like, yeah, it's all attainable. Nah, it takes a lot of sacrifice, takes a lot of work, takes a lot of dedication, takes a lot of commitment, takes a lot of failing, takes a lot of setbacks. It takes a lot of loss. It takes all of those negatives to one day ultimately to create this positive and to achieve something that you would not have achieved had you not pursued the idea that you initially had. You know, in the Bible, God created everything from an idea that he had. And those ideas became words, and those words became flesh. And we're created in the image and likeness of God, which means we have God's character and his abilities. Then that means that we too have ideas. We too have words that we can use to create things out of nothing. And that's how the process works. So I wanted to encourage you today to pursue your ideas. You know, that's something that I aspire to do every year. I try to come up with ideas, new ideas that I can pursue each year. Every year I do that. At the end of the year, November, December, I'm planning and brainstorming things that I can do in the new year, things that I can pursue, things that I can accomplish in the new year. because I always want my years to be fresh with new ideas, new ways of doing things. Because it keeps me obsessed. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me driven. And if I'm not obsessed about something, then it doesn't make sense I do it, right? So I hope you understood and understand what I'm saying. Don't talk yourself out of the ideas that you have. You have them for a reason. If you have a vision for something that scares you, that's probably the thing that you should pursue 100% of the time. Cool. Okay, so once again, we've come to that point in the pod where there's that sound again, where I always like to introduce something that I call a milestone. And with this particular milestone, I'm excited about this one because this really ties into what I was talking about today when I'm talking about ideas, right? And it's about passion and problem solving. I was having a convo with some of my friends about a business ventures that we had all talked about starting or probably doing together. And in trying to find out what it was that we wanted to do, one of my friends asked the group, what are we each passionate about? Very rarely is there symmetry between passion and great financial success. In fact, most things people are passionate about, they never make money from. So the saying, follow your passion, in my opinion, is really a false positive because it's sort of misleading. Now, I don't want you to confuse that with aiming for a fulfilling working life or a satisfying career. It takes more than just following your passion, is what I'm trying to say. It has to be something that financially makes sense, but more importantly, it has to be something that solves a problem or helps people to better themselves. So the question we should ask is not what are we passionate about? Instead, we should be asking what problems can we solve? As long as a problem exists, people will always be searching for solutions. So ask yourself, how can you solve someone's needs? Not their wants, their needs. Find a problem to solve and become obsessed. There's a key word. And become obsessed with that solution. Let that obsession be the passion. Products or services that solve a real need are very easy to market. There's no need to convince people to buy your product or service because they will be able to very deeply identify with it. A few examples of problem solvers are Google, who made internet search better, Amazon, who simplified online buying and selling, Netflix, who solved on-demand streaming media, and Uber, who solved making on-demand car services better. So the question I ask you, what can you make better or more efficient? Allow your ideas to fuel your obsession. I dare you to chase your ideas. And that was our milestone for today. I'm, again, thankful for you guys joining in, listening in to this episode of the Myles High Podcast. Each time I come out, I want to do something that's encouraging, that's impactful, that's influencing you to better yourself, to chase your dreams, to pursue those ideas that you have, to become obsessed with them, and to give you practical principles to help you through the process. Hope you guys have learned something today. Even I've learned something today. I've encouraged myself in so many ways. I'm just thankful for you allowing me to be a voice to you. So with that, I'm going to close this episode out. Thanks again for tuning in to the Myles High Pod. Please remember to follow on all the platforms, YouTube, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Follow the Myles High Pod. You guys stay up. Peace.